Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about Candida. I've been talking about it a lot this week, and we just ran into TJ Lavin at the Whole Foods, and Jenna Richard brought it up to him because we're super passionate about this right now because I just discovered what was going on with me because I had been bulimic for 15 years, and when I stopped, I started experiencing really intense bloating, and no matter what I ate, it wouldn't stop, and I couldn't figure out, so I just scoured the internet for years, and I adjusted our diet, and we do all organics, GMO free, gluten free, dairy free, alcohol free, caffeine free, and low sugar. But I still was having issues, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I'd even heard on the Joe Rogan show about Candida Overgrowth, and I started reading about it. So what Candida is a yeast, and a yeast is a fungus, and it resides in your body, but it creates a lot of havoc because it is not something that is helpful. It's harmful to you, and all they want is to live, of course, as anything. So there's food that encourages the growth of them and other things, which I'll get into. But how we got this, everyone has it. Now, if you look on the internet, a lot of times they'll say only some people have it, but I firmly believe everyone has it because it came from GMOs, which GMOs are genetically modified organisms. They started creating GMOs in 1985. Well, at first they thought they'd done some studies, but they'd only done studies for a couple years because really for these things to know what's going to happen, you have to have many years of studies. Well, now here we are, like 40 years later, we're starting to see issues with these genetically modified organisms. Now you say, well, what's genetically modified organism? Isn't it? Got my old tongue twisted here. It would be basically anything that is not made from Earth originally. So when I say Earth originally, like organically from the Earth, it's anything that they have altered it. And they can alter a seed, so they can alter grains, they can alter fruit. So it doesn't mean like just because something is from the earth now, that's not a GMO. You have to be very careful. You have to eat all organics, and you really have to look for the no GMO things. But then there's even things that it's in that you don't expect, because things like chicken and eggs have GMOs because they feed the chickens corn. Now, corn is one of those seeds that they have genetically modified so many times that there is no longer a pure non-GMO seed like your grandparents or even past them, your ancestors before them would have experienced. So now these grains, we do not eat any grains because those all are now genetically modified. Even if they say they're not, the problem is when they first started doing this, they didn't think there was going to be an issue. So they didn't think to hold on to the original food. So there's some foods that now have been modified so much that there is no original. And the foods that do still have original are the organics that we see. But you have to be careful because if you're eating a meat and they're feeding that animal something that's not GMO, see, it gets very complex. But the thing is, the best way to know is to stick with organics. And if you're eating anything that's artificial, then you're encouraging your Candida. And what Candida live off of is things like sugar, dairy, caffeine, alcohol. They love sugar. So if you're in anything that is artificial that you're putting in your body, just encourages the growth of them as well, because they like anything that's a bad environment. So it's almost like the worse environment you can get in your stomach, the more Candida will flourish. So now you say, well, I don't think I have Candida. Why do you say that? Well, I firmly believe everyone right now does, but I'll list off a couple of symptoms, and that people get misdiagnosed. They think that it's other things. Now, if you've experienced any of these, then think about it. You probably have Candida Overgrowth, because if you've consumed any GMOs in your life, which we all have, So some of the symptoms would be extreme lethargy, being just tired all the time, just exhausted no matter how much you sleep. Reduced sex drive, where you're just not really feeling like having sex anymore because you just never really feel good. Bloating or any kind of digestive issues like constipation, diarrhea, and bloating, any of those. But primarily bloated is a real big one. Bloating in the sense where you just feel bloated. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you're just sitting there and every day you just can't wake up and you're like, well, I'm not necessarily fat, but I just feel like bloated. Yeah, Candida. Depression. We have so many people depressed right now, and I firmly believe this is from Candida and the GMOs. Headaches, arthritis, joint pain. If you have mood disorders, they think PMS now is connected with Candida. A lot of doctors didn't know for sure if PMS was even a real thing for many years, which every woman will attest PMS is real. But it's actually due to the GMOs in the Candida. If you've ever had any kind of fungus, like a jock itch, toe fungus, yeast infection, you have Candida overgrowth. If you've ever had any of those, you definitely have Candida overgrowth. If you're experiencing intense sugar and salt cravings on a daily basis, no matter what you do, Candida. Lightheadedness. Irritability. Sinus problems. Weight gain. Have I not mentioned that one? That's the biggest one. Weight gain. That's what everyone is wanting to find the solution for, right? Why am I gaining weight? Candida overgrowth. So now, how do you get rid of it? Well, you really have to cut out all the GMOs. And when I mean GMOs, I mean anything artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, artificial meat. If something is not originally from this earth, you should not be consuming it. And if you do, you're just gonna feel sick. You say, Joy, why do I care? Well, do you want to feel sick for the rest of your life? Do you want to be depressed daily? This is why this is important. Because I didn't want to be anymore. I didn't want to be depressed anymore. And I didn't want to feel fat every day. And I didn't want to struggle with my weight anymore. And now I found the solution. You cut out the GMOs. And you got to get rid of this Candida. So what happens is you do have to go through a process to clean it out of your system by doing a pretty strict diet for a minute, and really you got to stick with the diet. But you can, once you get the Candida out, you can adjust a little bit with your sugar intake, but never can you go back to eating this crap that we have. You pretty much are going to have to, for the rest of your life, stick with the organics if you want to feel good. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No GMOs, no gluten, no dairy, no caffeine, no alcohol, and all organic. And you even got to cut out the eggs and chicken because they feed them. So you got to stick with meats that are grass-fed only, because if they're feeding the animal that you're consuming a vegetarian diet, which when they say vegetarian diet, it means they feed them corn and grains, then you are going to ingest those and you're going to feel sick every day as you already are. And I know we make it through the day by doing things like caffeine, and that's how most people have made it all this time. But that does not fix the problem. All that does is give you artificial energy. And caffeine, at the end of the day, is feeding the Candida, and it's also making us fat, because every time you have caffeine, your body kicks off insulin. Well, what insulin does, because your blood sugar is raised, when you have caffeine, your blood sugar gets raised. When your blood sugar gets raised, it tells your body to kick off insulin to compensate for your blood sugar raise. Once your body kicks off insulin, it tells your body to store fat. So every time you drink caffeine or consume caffeine in any way, you tell your body to store fat. That's why each year we're getting fatter because of this Candida problem, because of all the caffeine that we're consuming, the GMOs, the non-organics, all the artificial everything. We got to go back to the basics, you guys, if you want to feel good, if you want to be the weight you want to be. If you want to feel better than you've ever felt in your whole life, we're telling you this is how you do it. And it's as simple as that. And we have nothing to gain other than just we want people to feel better. And we let TJ Lavin know that today. I don't know if he probably just thought we were a bunch of nutballs, but we just feel so passionate that we don't care if people don't like us or are annoyed with us being talking about stuff all the time, because we just feel like everyone needs to know, and we'll continue to say it. And you guys are like, how many Candida videos are you gonna do? I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing them because I think it's that important. Thanks, everyone.